everyone, it's Lindsay and welcome back to my channel. I did it, you guys. I finally finished all of my pre-work for Project Pyro and I got it outlined. I'm so proud of myself. I normally do take a couple weeks to a couple months working on a project, brainstorming and getting to know the characters and the setting and the world. And this was a project that kind of came out of nowhere. I mentioned in April I was actually supposed to be drafting my gothic idea, and this one just came to me the night before Camp Nano started, and I totally switched gears. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this project. I have to work on it. And I mean, it's pretty much ready to draft at this point, which is just wild. I'm gonna share with you today how I basically pre-drafted, outlined, brainstormed my thriller, and how I do this in general with every book is pretty much the same. This one, every book is a little bit different. If you are interested in a more basic overview of how I prep for my first draft, including outlining and brainstorming, I do have an entire video where I go over that. And this one will be very similar information, but this is just very specific to this thriller. But before we get started, I just want to take a second to talk about Project Pyro because I love it very much. I was gonna say, I don't know if you're ready for it. I don't know if I'm ready for it. This is just like the most disgusting, gritty, grungy main character that I have ever created, ever thought of. I love her so much. She's gonna be so much fun. And as I was working on this through the past month, I kind of realized that I was originally thinking this might be like a dark academia bordering on the lines of horror. And as I started outlining it more and more, I was like, no, this is just a thriller that happens to be set in a boarding school, but it's not actually like literary dark academia, which is what I feel like that is. A quick little pitch of the story, if you didn't know, is basically like my main character is disabled and she has nothing really going in her life. She's like in trouble a lot and doesn't really care about school. So when she's invited to this really like highly esteemed academy, she's kind of like, why? And then she gets there and weird stuff starts happening. So it's fun. So the first thing that I did when I started working on this book is the thing that I do with every single book I ever write, and that is I start listing out the things that I love in books and that I want in this one specifically. I think this is such a magical tool. It is so amazing because then you remember why you're in love with the project because you're adding in all of the things that you're really, really passionate about. For this project specifically, I really wanted to make sure that I was dealing with a lot of disability microaggressions and certain conversations around disability. That was really important to me. Also, I just wanted to write like a nasty main character. I really wanted to play with that. There were some fun tropes I wanted to employ. I love when there's like a twist on the last page or like the last couple pages. I've always wanted to write a book like that. Hopefully I'll nail it with this one. I'm really excited for that. And I also wanted some like multimedia stuff in this book, and I'm pumped. And every time that I get stuck during the drafting process later on and I feel like I hate the book or I suck as a writer, I can just like go back to this page and be like, oh yeah, there's all of these things that I love in this book. I am passionate about it. I do love it and I need to push through. The next thing I did was toy with my idea note card collection. This is where I just, whenever I get an inkling for a story, whether it's like character, theme, plot, setting, a situation, I write it on a note card and I store all of them away in my idea note card holder. Every now and then I shuffle through them and see if I can combine any of the cool ideas to make a story. I have done that with The Glass Witch, the book that I'm currently on submission with, and The Odd Book, which is my second middle grade that's in first draft form right now. So this works really, really well for me. It's really fun because every idea you're excited about, and sometimes you mush them together and you don't think about how things could work together, but then they do and you're like, this is brilliant. The next thing I did was I just spent a whole bunch of time, literally weeks at this point, brainstorming. And to do that, I just daydream. I sit, I think, I keep a notebook with me and a pen, and I just write whenever ideas come. My phone is so full of just like ridiculous, incomprehensible notes that I just like get an idea, so I write it in my notes app really quick, and then I forget about it and I come back like later and I'm like, wow, what does this mean? This is always the funnest part of the process for me. Like out of the entire book process, I love this one the most because this is where I really get super creative. I think this is like where the whole like plotter pantser idea kind of divulges. Like I am a very stringent outliner, but that's because all of my fun and creativity comes at this part in the process, whereas for like a pantser, you're exploring these things as you write. So we all do the same things, the same steps, right? It's just at different times. So yeah, I love this part of the process. It's so fun. It is like, it's everything that I love about books. And when you get that one moment where an idea just like explodes in your head or two pieces come together, it is just, it's the best part. Another thing that I did during this time was that I reread some of my favorite thrillers and mysteries and the tropes specifically that I like out of these. There are a couple others besides the books in the stack that I read. Some of them are on audiobook. Some of them I just flipped through to get to the pieces that I need. Specifically books like Night Film and even Illuminae, which is like a YA science fiction, even though I'm not writing that. It has like multimedia stuff. So I flipped through that and I read some like YA mysteries set at a boarding school, dark and nasty main characters, and just like a couple other books that are kind of that have twists and plot points that I really liked, that I kind of wanted to emulate like with my own spin on it. That was really important for me to flip through these books because this is the first time I've ever outlined or planned to write a thriller. So I really want to make sure I get the beats down well, and I just wanted to study how other authors were doing it. One thing I did this time that I've actually never done before, it just kind of worked out with the timing, was that I took some thriller master classes. I took both Baldacci and Brown's thriller writing class, and I really got some good notes from that. I do think a lot of it was like 101 stuff, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there were like really good little nuggets hidden throughout that were just like their ideas on the process, their perspective and things like that, which were super helpful. And the last part of the brainstorming process for me was doing a character questionnaire. I love character questionnaires. I stand by them. I think they're incredible. They always help me get to know my character even better. Most of the information never ends up in the book, but it still makes the character more rounded for me and helps me put little tidbits in the story to make them seem specific and real. After I did all of that was all just brainstorming. After I did all that brainstorming, I needed to organize all my notes, and I did so just, you know, because I was writing stuff everywhere on little pieces of paper, on my phone. Some of it was in Google Docs. So I opened a new Google Doc and I put everything in some type of category, whether it was plot, character, so forth. I did really quickly too fresh up on anatomy of story. I always kind of half read, half skim through it before I outline every project that I write. It is my ride or die craft book. I love it very much. But I will say, during this process, this is the first time that I have strayed so far away from the 22 beats of story in that book. John Truby does say that when you're writing in a specific genre that has conventional beats, that you are gonna have to kind of like morph his beats to fit those needs of your genre. So that was like really kind of scary because I had never strayed so far away from it, but I needed to trust myself because I felt like at that point, I read thrillers all the time, right? They're like my #1 most read genre. So I'm like, I can do this. I can trust myself. I know how to write other, you know, plot out other genres. Like, I can handle this. So it took some faith, hope, love, you know, some pixie dust, all of those things. And I finally felt confident enough that I was happy. I was happy with what I was playing with. Now I'm super extravagant, so I always outline multiple things. I have my plot, I have my character arc. For books that have a mystery plot, I like to like arc my reveals as well, so I know when they're happening. I have a subplot friendship slash kind of romance, almost-ish, that I wanted to make sure had an arc as well, so I plotted that out. And then there is something that it's kind of like a slowly revealed backstory mystery thing in the past that happened that affects everything, and I'm slowly revealing that, so I wanted to track that as well to make sure it was happening at the right time. And I do all of this in a large Excel spreadsheet, and I usually fiddle with this quite a few times, at least 2 drafts of an outline before I'm super happy with it. I read through it front to back, like beginning to end, multiple times, and I always find little things that I'm like, oh, let me go back and add something in 8 chapters before that would foreshadow this, or ooh, this is a plot hole, I need to fix this. So I really like that process because it makes it so I'm catching everything before I even start drafting, so that when I draft, it just flows through really fast. And with any luck, my revisions are a lot simpler. Yeah, So that's how I did it. That's how I outlined and brainstormed Project Pyro. Guys, I did it. I'm super excited. I can start drafting. Like, this is my 4th book. I can't even get over the fact that I'm gonna start working on my 4th book. Anyways, you guys, let me know down in the comments if you guys do any of this pre-work brainstorming, outlining stuff, or if you just like to straight pants, if that's how, you know, you find happiness in writing. Let me know down below. I love learning about other people's processes. Like, it's just, it's like crack. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.